Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Isabel and today I will be talking about depression and my thoughts of suicide and my story. So I was diagnosed when I was 16 and from then and there it was really hard on me and Isaiah and my family. So, I've tried everything. I've tried antidepressants, I've tried going to therapists, and honestly, it didn't work for me. If you believe that works for you, I'm all for it. I support it. What makes you happy. But it did not work for me. And I remember always being depressed every single day. At a young age, it's just like you're just like, what are these feelings and what can I do to fix them? And you just want these feelings to go away, and it sucks, and it's just like people ask you what's wrong and you're just like, I don't even know what's going on. I just feel down and I feel like I don't want to live anymore, and it just sucks. It sucks, and your anxiety kicks in. Well, my anxiety kicks in with my depression, so it sucks. And I've had anxiety attacks before. My heart starts beating real fast. My breathing slows down, and my mind is just scattered with thoughts and a lot of things. And it's just really overwhelming to have a panic attack. And, it really sucks. And a lot of people thought I was faking it and that it was all for attention and that I have no idea what I'm talking about. And so that really hurt me a lot when people would tell me like, oh, that doesn't exist, you're lying, and you're just using that because you want attention. Honestly, I wish it was, but it's not. It's real. I was diagnosed by a doctor when I was 16, and they told me, you might have it way before you were 16. It could have started at 12 or even before that. Because my parents got divorced when I was only 8. So, I didn't really have a childhood. I had to help clean and help do a lot of things for an 8-year-old. And so that kind of affected me a lot, and moving away from my hometown as well. And so many other things were just mixed in there as that as well. I admitted myself into a psychiatric hospital, and I was there for a week, and they like checked my whole body, like to see if I had any scars or anything on it, and I didn't, because I've always tried to cut myself, but I never would succeed in actually having scars. And they would check for that. They checked everything. They made me take off my jewelry, they made me take out my nose ring and all these other things. And the staff was really nice. They we had like our own separate rooms from the other patients. There was like other kids my age that were there. And I was just really surprised in like how many people actually go through the same thing I go through, but it's like even worse for them. I've heard stories of where they come back every single month, for treatment and stuff and all these other things. And it was just really interesting to understand and get to know people that were on my level and thought like, oh, there's no one here to help you, and you feel so alone, and you feel like the world is just collapsing on your soul and that no one really cares. And when I was away, I had no contact with Isaiah whatsoever, and it really sucked, the love of my life, and I can't even talk to him. I wrote letters to him every single night, and I really wish I could have saw him. And my mom was there. She would visit me and stuff, and my grandparents would call me to see how I was doing. And so, yeah, they were really scared. And Isaiah apparently looked for me for that time I was there, because he didn't know where I was, and no one was telling him where I was too. And that's all my family, because they thought I didn't want to see anybody. But I just really wanted to see Isaiah. He was the only person I wanted to see. And it's just a lot on someone. They fed us 3 times. We would have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then like in between there would be snacks and stuff. And it was just, I had to sleep in the lobby when I first got there because I was on suicide watch. And they let us wear our own clothes. So my mom brought me my clothes, and so I wore that. And we would have school. It was just really different. It was so isolated from the outside world. It was very interesting. We got to go play outside and stuff too, but it was in the complex, so we wouldn't be able to like go out. And we weren't supposed to have contact with the people we met. When we got out, we weren't supposed to like talk to them or anything like that. And it was pretty interesting and kind of intense, but it is what it is. They gave me like sleeping pills. I don't know why, but they did. I didn't tell them I had sleeping problems or anything like that. They gave me an antidepressant every day. And, I was just happy the whole time being there. And I think it was because of the antidepressants. But, it just felt like, that wasn't me. Like, I feel like I'm faking it the whole time. Like, I don't want to do that. And I want to be able to face this on my own and not have to take any pills. So I spent a week there, and I mostly colored, I mostly wrote, and the nurses would ask me questions, and I would answer, and they were just like, well, what is a girl like you doing in here? And I explained my situation, and they're just like, oh, well, if you're okay and you feel like you'll probably get out of here early. So yeah. And once I got out, I went to go see Isaiah after, when he was working, and my mom asked for him, and he came out, and he was just like, whoa. And I hugged him, and it's like it was a week I haven't seen him and I haven't spoken to him, and it was just like, oh my gosh, like he's here, and I'm so happy. And I only got to see him for a couple of minutes, but I cherished those minutes for as long as I could. And I remember specifically riding in the ambulance and the EMT telling me, asked me, well, why did you end up like this? And I told him, I've been through a lot. And he was just like, a kid your age shouldn't be going through a lot. And I was like, yeah, I really wish I wasn't. And honestly, once I got out, I went back to school because I missed school for a week. And my teachers were just like, oh, are you okay? And like, they were relieved that I was okay and that I was back at school. But honestly, I had such anxiety coming back. You know, I felt like people were staring at me and like they just were not treating me like, you know, like how I was, and they were just treating me different and like I was crazy and a psycho. So yeah, it was overwhelming coming back to school. And me and Isaiah went to the same school, so he would always be there by my side asking me, you know, are you okay? Like, and I would tell him, you know, how I felt, and, you know, and then I believe a week went by, and I was taking antidepressants and sleeping pills when I got out, and this one time I didn't take it, and I forgot, and I just went ballistic. It was crazy, you know, yelling at my mom, and, you know, I just was like, you know, I don't want to be here anymore, I want to kill myself. And I tried to overdose, trying to swallow a handful of my sleeping pills right in front of my mom, and, you know, she put her fingers down my throat to make me cough it up, and I bit her hand, and, you know, I like spit it all back up, and it was a lot. And, you know, she left the room, and I was yelling at her while she was leaving, and, you know, I threw my mattress at the door so no one can get in, and, you know, I just was always hide in the closet and cry there and think, like, why do I feel this way, and why am I doing this? A safe kind of closet was like my safe haven for some reason. And so, you know, I went, and so they called Isaiah. They told him, you know, you need to come over here and all this and that. So he came, and like, he didn't come upstairs for some reason. And you know, I came down, and they said Isaiah's here. So I came down, and, you know, we went to the hospital together because they wanted me to go back to the psychiatric hospital. And, you know, I was just like, well, I don't really want to go back there, and my mom was just like threatening to have me stay there for a month, and I really didn't want that. I was already felt like I was distancing myself from Isaiah, and it really sucked. And so after that, I went home, and the next day at school, I was just talking to Isaiah, and I was like, yeah, I'm probably gonna run away and not live with my parents. And you know, he was trying to convince me, like, no, then we won't see each other and everything. And, you know, we talked for like 3 hours in his vehicle, and it was crying, it was emotional, and I had given my promise ring back to him and said, you know, keep it safe and all this and that, and I ran away. And he was crying and telling me not to go. And then I made it to my destination, and I talked to Isaiah every single night on the phone, just to tell him, like, you know, I miss you and I love you and all these things. And I can just hear it in the tone of his voice that I was hurting him, not being with him and not being there by his side. And, you know, it was really getting to me that I was hurting him, and I didn't want to hurt him anymore. That I cared so much about someone that I didn't want to hurt them anymore. So I told him a lie, and I broke up with him. And we were dating a year then, and it was so hard, and you know, I was trying to act like I didn't care, and that, you know, I needed to make sure he wasn't gonna come back, that he wasn't going to try to talk me out of it and try to stay, and I didn't want to hurt him anymore. It was really hard to break up with him when I really cared and loved him and didn't want anything to happen to him. But his happiness overruled everything I was thinking. I wanted him to be happy. I wanted him to succeed in life. And so I did what I thought was best for him. Not for me, but for him. And so, you know, that happened, and it was a really hard time for me at that point. You know, I went back home, and, you know, I wasn't with Isaiah, and it was really hard. It's hard to think about right now, like I did that. But, you know, I've forgiven myself for it, and Isaiah has forgiven me too for all the things that I've done wrong. You know, the depression was taking over my life, and I really didn't want that. I really didn't like the person I became. And so I had to learn to control my depression and how to, you know, shake it off when it happened, and what are my triggers, and how to get better on my own. Like, I knew I didn't need the pills, I didn't need a psychiatrist or a therapist. I just needed myself and to figure it out on my own. And, you know, it was just a lot that year. And, you know, way before that, I thought of killing myself multiple times. I attempted multiple times. It was just a lot to handle. I was a lot to handle. I felt so alone after that. I felt like the whole world was against me. And, you know, a lot of people at school were calling me crazy and psycho and all these other things, and it was just not good. And I was going to a different school at that time, and honestly, it just wasn't good. And I feel like the only friend that was really there was my friend Katie. I feel like she's always been there for me, you know, through the good and the bad. Honestly, I love her, and, you know, I'm glad she's my best friend, and I'm glad we've been friends for so long, since middle school. And she's my maid of honor. So, yeah, depression dictated my life there for a little bit. You know, nowadays, I still have it. It still comes along, and even today. But it happened, I was depressed a couple days ago. I just didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to do anything. I just had this feeling of nothing. And it's so hard when you feel nothing and you feel like you want to explain the feeling, but you don't know how to use the words or anything. And it's just like, I just want to lay here and, you know, cry my eyes out, because I just don't know if I want to be here anymore. And, you know, Isaiah always tells me, you know, I'm here for you, and, you know, I'm here when you want to talk, and I'm not going anywhere. And he always tells me that, and he's always so helpful. And I tell him, you know, I've always wanted you there for me. I've always needed you to be here for me. He's honestly helps me get through my depression. And I feel like he's always helped me. And you know, I honestly wish I knew Isaiah was hurting as well with depression when I was, and it probably could have been so different than what happened. And I'm not the one to live in the past. I'm moving forward with that in my life, and you know, that situation actually has made me become a stronger person and a better me, and better at self-love and being healthy and caring for others besides myself. And it's just been really, really helpful. My family has been very supportive and helpful through it. So is Isaiah. I love them very much. And I'm really sorry that I put you guys through a lot. I just really needed help, and I was screaming for help. So I gave myself help. And you know, depression does suck. You feel like you're alone and you just want to cry, and you don't even know why. Sometimes it just happens and it just really sucks, and then your anxiety kicks in and it's like, what the hell? Why is this happening to me? Like, there's nothing in this world that, and it just sucks, you know. And you know, I try to explain it to Isaiah what I'm feeling, but it's like really hard because it's just really hard to explain what I'm thinking and what I'm going through. You know, for the people out there who do have depression, who is going through it and fighting for your life, I applaud you. You keep on going, you keep fighting, you keep living. You are a very beautiful person, and your soul is very beautiful. And you know, it's just the sad moment that you're going through in this life, and that you can conquer it, and you can become stronger, and you can come back from it, and you don't have to think of suicide or cutting yourself or hurting yourself in any way. You know, reach out to someone that you care and trust, and you know, gives good advice and will be there to have your shoulder to cry on. And you know, I didn't really have a lot of friends who were like that. They kind of got bored of me talking about, oh, I'm depressed, and it just felt like I was boring them, and that it was ridiculous for me saying it again, and I felt like they were tired of me. So I kind of just stopped telling them how I felt. Stopped telling them of how many times I've tried to kill myself, how many times I've cried myself to sleep, and all these other things. And you know, I'm just so grateful for all the people that have supported me and helped me get through this. And I'm so grateful to God for giving me the strength and loving me and forgiving me for everything. He has saved me, and you know, Isaiah has as well. He has been there and he has helped me through so much, and I'm just so eternally grateful for that. And you know, it's just been a crazy ride. Yeah. I know people's lives are probably crazier, but you know, I love you. I want you to get through it, and I want you to still be here in this world. and I want you to fight for your life, because it is beautiful. You know, I honestly didn't know what I would say in this video, but I've shared my story, and you know, I want you to live and for you to be brave and strong, because you'll get through this. So thank you for watching my video and listening to my story.